stop, don't scroll, because a tiny dime in your pocket could be worth thousands money bag. Most people see a Mercury dime and think it's just old silver. But what they don't realize is some of these coins are worth life-changing money, and they're still being missed every single day. Here are the top 3 Mercury dimes you need to check right now. First, look for the rare date combination. Some Mercury dimes had extremely low mintages, and collectors are hunting them. If you find one with a key date, you could be holding serious value. Second, check for full bands on the back. Look at the fasces design, those horizontal bands. If they're fully separated and sharp, that's a high-grade coin. And high-grade Mercury dimes can sell for big money bag. Third, the most important, error coins. Look closely at the date and lettering. Do you see doubling? A shadow effect? Something that looks off? That's where the real money is. Error coins can turn a simple dime into something worth hundreds, even thousands. Now, here's the part nobody tells you. The most valuable coins don't look expensive. They look normal. That's why people spend them every day without even checking. So, before you spend your next dime, stop. Look closely, because that small silver coin might be worth... If you think a dime is only worth 10 cents, you could be making one of the biggest mistakes of your life. Because right now, there are people holding a small silver coin, not knowing it could be worth thousands of dollars. And one of the most important coins you need to understand is the 1916 Mercury dime. This coin isn't just old, it's legendary. Most people have seen Mercury dimes before. They look simple. They look ordinary. But hidden inside this design is one of the most valuable secrets in coin collecting. And if you miss it, you could lose serious money. The 1916 Mercury dime was the very first year this design was ever released. That alone makes it important. But what makes it truly valuable is something most people never notice: scarcity. Some versions of this coin were made in extremely low numbers. And that's where everything changes. Because when something is rare, collectors start hunting for it. And when collectors compete, prices go up. Way up. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Not all 1916 Mercury dimes are the same. Some are common. Some are rare. And one specific version is on a completely different level. This is the coin that serious collectors are always searching for. The one that can sell for thousands, sometimes even more. But the problem is, it looks almost identical to a normal coin. That's why so many people miss it. They see a dime and they spend it. They don't check. They don't look closely. And just like that, they lose a valuable coin forever. Now imagine this. You find an old jar of coins. You see a Mercury dime. You think nothing of it. But what if that coin is the rare version? What if you just spent something worth $1,000 for 10 cents? It happens more often than you think. That's why you need to know exactly what to look for. The first thing you should check is the overall condition of the coin. Condition is everything. A worn-out coin might still have value, but a sharp, well-preserved coin can be worth significantly more. Look at the details. Are the lines clear? Are the features sharp? Does the coin look strong and well-defined? If the answer is yes, you could be looking at something special. But condition is only part of the story. The real value often comes from small details. Tiny details. Details most people ignore. And those details can completely change the price of your coin. This is where serious collectors separate themselves from beginners. They don't just look at coins. They study them. They examine every small feature. Because they know one small difference can mean everything. And that's exactly why valuable coins are missed every day. People rush. They assume. They don't take the time to look closely. And that mistake can cost them big money. Now, let's talk about something even more important. Demand. Why do people pay thousands for a small silver coin? Because they want it. Because they need it for their collection. Because it's hard to find. When demand is high and supply is low, prices increase. That's the basic rule. And the 1916 Mercury dime fits perfectly into that situation. It's old. It's historic. And certain versions are extremely hard to find. That combination makes it powerful and valuable. But here's the part most people don't realize. Values change. A coin that is worth a few $100s today could be worth much more in the future. Why? Because more collectors enter the market, more people start searching, and fewer coins remain available. That creates pressure, and pressure drives prices up. So, the coin you ignore today could be worth far more tomorrow. Now think about this. How many coins have you already spent without checking? How many rare coins have passed through your hands without you noticing? It's a scary thought. Because the truth is, it happens to almost everyone. That's why awareness is everything. The more you know, the better your chances. The more you check, the less you lose. And sometimes you win big. Now here's something else you need to understand. Not every valuable coin looks perfect. Some coins have small marks, errors, or unusual features. And those features can actually increase value. Yes, sometimes mistakes make coins more valuable. That's why you should never ignore something unusual. If a coin looks different, if something seems off, don't just dismiss it. Take a closer look, because that difference might be exactly what makes it valuable. Now, let's talk about where you can find these coins. Because many people think valuable coins are impossible to find. But that's not true. They are still out there, hidden in collections, old jars, coin rolls, even pocket change. The problem is most people don't check. They don't pay attention. And because of that, valuable coins continue to circulate, waiting for someone who knows what to look for. Someone like you. If you take the time, if you stay patient, if you learn the details, you increase your chances of finding something valuable. And all it takes is one coin. Just one. One lucky find can change everything. That's why collectors never stop searching. Because they know the next coin could be the one. And the same opportunity is right in front of you, but only if you pay attention. Before you spend your coins, check them. Before you ignore an old dime, look closer. Because the difference between 10 cents and thousands of dollars could be just one small detail. And if you miss it, it's gone forever. So slow down. Look carefully. And never assume a coin is just a coin. Because sometimes that small piece of metal in your hand is worth far more than you think. Fire. Most people don't even look at their coins anymore. They spend them, drop them, ignore them, without realizing that one small dime could be worth more than a full day's salary. And one of the most dangerous coins to ignore is the 1921 Mercury dime, because this coin doesn't look rare. It doesn't look special. It doesn't scream value. And that's exactly why so many people lose it. The 1921 Mercury dime is one of those coins that hides its true worth. At first glance, it looks just like any other old silver coin. But collectors know something most people don't. This coin is not common. In fact, certain versions of it are extremely hard to find. And when something is hard to find, it becomes valuable. Now here's where things get serious. There are people out there, right now, searching through rolls of coins, collections, and old boxes, hoping to find this exact coin. Because when they do, they know they've found something important. But at the same time, there are people spending it every single day without even noticing. Imagine holding a coin worth hundreds or even thousands and using it to buy something small, never realizing what you just lost. It sounds crazy, but it happens all the time. And the reason is simple. People don't know what to look for. They don't check. They assume every dime is just 10 cents. But the 1921 Mercury dime proves that assumption is wrong. Very wrong. Now, let's talk about what makes this coin so powerful. It comes down to scarcity. Fewer coins were made compared to other years. And over time, many of them were lost, damaged, or melted. So today, finding one in good condition is not easy. And when something becomes difficult to find, collectors are willing to pay more. Much more. But here's the part most people miss. Condition changes everything. A heavily worn coin might still have value, but a sharp, well-preserved coin can multiply that value many times over. Look closely at the details. Are the lines clear? Are the features strong? Does the coin still look fresh? If it does, you could be holding something very valuable. But condition is only one part of the story. The real secrets are in the small details, tiny differences that most people never notice, and those small details can turn an ordinary-looking coin into something collectors will fight over. That's why experienced collectors take their time. They don't rush. They don't assume. They inspect every coin carefully, because they know missing one detail could mean missing a big opportunity. And this is exactly where most people fail. They move too fast. They don't pay attention. They overlook things. And because of that, valuable coins slip right through their hands. Now think about your own situation. How many coins have you handled this week? How many dimes have you seen? Did you check them? Or did you just assume they were all the same? That's how rare coins disappear. Not because they're impossible to find, but because no one is looking. And the 1921 Mercury dime is one of those coins that benefits from that ignorance. It hides in plain sight. It blends in. And unless you know what to look for, you'll never notice it. Now let's go deeper. Why do collectors want this coin so badly? Because it's part of history. Because it represents a specific moment in time. And because it's not easy to get. When a coin checks all those boxes, its demand increases. And when demand increases, so does value. This is why some of these coins can sell for hundreds, and in the right condition, even thousands. Yes, for a single dime. Now imagine finding that in your own coins. Imagine discovering that something you almost ignored is actually worth serious money. That's the kind of opportunity we're talking about. But here's the problem. Opportunities like this don't last forever. Coins get lost. They get damaged, they disappear, and every time that happens, the remaining coins become even more valuable, which means the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to find them. So, the real question is, are you paying attention, or are you letting these coins pass you by? Because right now, there are people who know exactly what they're looking for. They're searching, they're checking, they're finding valuable coins, and they're keeping them, while others are giving them away for almost nothing. Don't let that be you. Start checking your coins. Look at every detail. Take your time, because the difference between an ordinary coin and a valuable one can be incredibly small, but the difference in value can be huge, and all it takes is one coin, one moment, one careful look. Before you spend your next dime, stop, check it, because the coin in your hand might not be just 10 cents. It might be something far more valuable. And if you ignore it, you might never get that chance again. Fire. Most people don't realize how close they are to losing real money. Not in banks, not in investments, but in their own pockets. Because right now, there are coins being spent every day that are worth far more than their face value. And one of the most overlooked coins is the 1926 Mercury dime. It looks simple. It looks old, but it doesn't look valuable. And that's exactly why it's so dangerous. Because when something looks ordinary, people stop paying attention. They assume it's just another coin, and they spend it without ever checking, without ever realizing what they just gave away. The 1926 Mercury dime is one of those coins that hides its true value. At first glance, it doesn't stand out. It blends in with other old silver dimes. But collectors know something most people don't. Certain versions of this coin are not easy to find. And when something is harder to find, it becomes more valuable. But here's the problem. Most people don't know the difference between a common coin and a rare one. They don't look for details. They don't check for clues. And because of that, they miss opportunities every single day. Now imagine this. You're going through old coins. You see a Mercury dime. You think nothing of it. You put it aside, or worse, you spend it. But what if that coin is one of the valuable ones? What if that small, overlooked dime could have been worth hundreds or even thousands? That's the reality, and it's happening all the time. Now, let's talk about why this coin matters. The 1926 Mercury dime was produced in a time when coin minting was very different. Lower production numbers in certain locations means fewer coins exist today, and over the years, many of these coins have been lost, damaged, or melted down, which means the remaining coins are even more important and more valuable. But here's where things get even more interesting. Not all 1926 Mercury dimes are equal. Some are common, some are rare, and the difference between them can be life-changing. But that difference is often small, very small. So small that most people never notice it. That's why collectors pay attention to details. They examine every coin carefully. They look at the smallest features, because they know those details can change everything. Now think about this. How many coins have you ignored this week? How many dimes have passed through your hands without a second thought? That's how valuable coins disappear. Not because they are impossible to find, but because nobody is looking. And the 1926 Mercury dime is one of those coins that slips through unnoticed. It doesn't stand out. It doesn't demand attention, but it should, because under the right conditions, it can be worth serious money. Now, let's talk about condition, because this is where value can explode. A worn coin might still have some value, but a coin with strong details, clear lines, and minimal wear can be worth significantly more. Collectors are always searching for coins in better condition, because those coins are harder to find. And when something is harder to find, people are willing to pay more, much more. But condition is not the only factor. Sometimes small mistakes during production can make a coin even more valuable. These are known as errors, and they are one of the biggest reasons coins become rare, because errors are not supposed to happen. They are unexpected, and because of that, they are highly collectible. So, if you ever see something unusual on a coin, don't ignore it. That small difference could be the reason it's worth a lot of money. Now, let's talk about demand. Why would someone pay a high price for a dime? Because they need it, because they want it for their collection, because it's difficult to find. And when multiple collectors are searching for the same coin, the value increases. This is how small coins become big investments. And the 1926 Mercury dime is part of that world. A world where knowledge matters, where attention to detail matters, where one small discovery can make a big difference. But here's the truth. Most people will never find a valuable coin. Not because they can't, but because they don't try. They don't look. They don't learn. And because of that, they miss out. But you don't have to. You can start paying attention. You can start checking your coins. You can start looking for details. And when you do, everything changes. Because now, you're not just holding coins. You're searching for hidden value. You're looking for opportunities, and those opportunities are real. They exist, right now, in circulation, in collections, in places most people never think to look, but only if you're paying attention, only if you take the time. Because the difference between a regular coin and a valuable one is often just one small detail. And if you miss it, it's gone. Forever. So, the next time you see a dime, don't ignore it. Don't assume. Don't rush. Take a moment. Look closely. Because that small coin could be worth far more than you think. And if you're the one who finds it, everything changes. Fire.